You are listening to the Gritty Podcast, where we talk about all things gritty. Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I am your host, Brian Call. I'm joined by Brad Hunt. Today's podcast is part 2 with Mark Livesay, Ryan Lampers, Brad Hunt, and myself. We talk about, this is a good one. We get into food prep.
Yep. It's a rabbit hole we went down that turned out really good.
It's a tangent that's real and raw, very good. You don't want to miss it. Just when you get people in the same room together, hanging out, that have a lot of experience, a lot of information just naturally bubbles up. And that's what this show contains, a lot of that kind of stuff. So you're going to like it. Let us know in the comments what you think of it. And we could do more shows like this. But the food thing, food prep, freeze drying food, dehydrating meals, snacks.
I talk about even the fitness, like electrolytes, all the good stuff.
Yeah, electrolyte conversation. You know, Mark is a 11 or 12-time Ironman racer.
Yeah.
Competitor, I guess.
His wife as well.
They have a lot of life lessons on how to do body crushing activities
and keeping your body going through that moment.
Yeah.
Just like hunting when you're
mentally
doing a
tough.
12-hour grind.
It's a great conversation. Yeah. So you're going to enjoy this one. Don't forget about our giveaway going on right now between now and Sunday. If you shop over at Peaks and you buy the Gritty shirt, that is the Some Men Can, Some Men Can't shirt, you'll be entered to win a big prize package from Peaks. And if you just go to peaksequipment.com/gritty, there's a landing page there, talks about the shirt. There's a little backstory, and you'll see all the stuff that's in the giveaway there. See if you want to get entered to win. Yep. If you get the shirt, it's cool. Helps us out a lot. We can't thank you enough because we've sold a lot of shirts so far, which is great. But we'll pick a lucky winner on Monday or Tuesday.
The week of April 10th. We'll just say that.
And then we have another giveaway with Initial Ascent. So if you're interested in the Initial Ascent pack or just a pack in general, or you're intrigued by it, we can't recommend it enough. I love that pack. Lampers has been using it a lot lately. He really likes how it carries too. I honestly think it's one of the top packs on the market. So if you'll go check out the podcast I did with Initial Ascent about a week or two ago, you'll find it if you just go to our YouTube page and look it up, or on your podcast app. Man, the YouTube version, we're face-to-face with them. You can see Dennis and Joe kind of what they're about. But it's a great podcast. That might fill you in on more questions about the pack that we can't just cover right now. Suffice it to say, though, it's a great pack. It's an excellent pack. And right now might be the time to buy it because we have a big giveaway going on with them. And when you use the code GRITTY, you get a good discount.
You get entered, and every $25 is one entry.
Yeah, so you don't have to buy a pack. You could buy
a water bottle holder to a top lid, whatever.
There's a lot of stuff. You can buy an AirPad and a Neo. Xtherm. Like there's a bunch of stuff. There's some water bladders. There's things over there that aren't just
pack related. Yeah.
If you have a Euro mount you want to get hung, they have some sweet mounts for Euros, especially big stuff like elk or moose. So check that out over there. Helps us out. We thank you for tuning in, and stay gritty. Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Call. I've got Mark Livesay on the show today. We got Brad Hunt, and we got Ryan Lampers, a.k.a. Stealthy Hunter. Okay, so the food thing, back to that, though. Let's just break it down real quick. You guys are actually doing a food prep course. When can people get that? Can they get it soon?
Well, now that we threw Kym on the bus, it might be a while. He's when he hears this.
He's editing.
Kym's editing right now. Now we made him mad. And but we filmed for 2 weekends in a row, 3 days, 3 full days each weekend.
Okay.
We had the wives involved. We had us involved.
So Treeline Academy.
It'll be on Treeline Academy eventually.
Where your e-scouting course is. You guys are in the process of putting together a food prep course.
It's end to end. It's end to end. But what's unique is, guys, is it's for the guys, well, women, whoever, that want to take care or take charge of making their own food and meals for the backcountry. It's really focused on that. But what's really unique about our course is we worked really hard, even though Ryan is a Kool-Aid drinking freeze dryer. We worked really hard because he spent years and years dehydrating his meals. Yeah. Same as me. Now I have seen the light. And I have gone over to the freeze dryer side, right? But
I tried to convince this man to get a freeze dryer a long time ago. I hate to give Ryan any credit, but
came across.
He was right. He was right, and I regretted. Now the meals. Let's not be honest.
That's hard for Mark to say.
Yeah, really it's a little. Yeah, I'm getting a little like choked up in my throat. It hurts. I'm kind of regurgitating right now. But I want to be clear. The dehydrated meals are amazing, right? People love the meals that I make, but they take 20 minutes. They just you can't do eggs. There's limitations. You're not giving up a lot, but you're giving up some. But what I think is unique about this course we're working on is we decided early on that we have to build a course that teaches people both methods end to end.
Dehydrated.
There's nothing out there that I've been able to find. Because what you're going to find is people that are in the tank for dehydration or they're in the tank for freeze drying. It's the only way. Well, it's not the only way. And actually, I just made this recipe. Another one, I got to give Ryan another credit. I've really come to like this mountain candy, this yams, pears, leather. And now we've got these new trays that we just discovered. These things are coming out like incredible. Yeah. And so we're dehydrating those.
Are those the little squares?
They're like a fruit roll up, just about a quarter inch.
Thicker. We found these silicone trays that works out a little better. When you,
so normally you can kind of flatten them out level paper, to the top of that tray. And they're real thin.
Instead of the
quarter inch.
But when you dehydrate that stuff real thin, it's delicate.
It is.
Because if you get it too dry, it's crispy.
You got to time it, and you got to learn to make the middle of your leather, your mix, like half yams, half pears, whatever it is. You got to make that center thinner than the outside because the outside will
dry out more than the middle
when you're
But these trays that we have found that are in the course, are featured in the course, they're quarter inch deep silicone.
Yeah.
So we pour them, kind of shake it till they fill,
dehydrate.
And when they come out,
it's perfect.
They're money. The edges aren't dry.
So have you used those ice cubey trays? Because that's another way.
Yeah,
we're talking about just dumping that in there and then just having chips.
Oh, we're making all kinds of stuff with these. I mean, we're going to have recipes as a part of this course. Yeah. There's going to be some recipes and ideas there. And we're making smoothies. We're making all kinds of stuff with this thing.
Dude, it's I was impressed. I mean, Ryan, let's just be honest. I was worried when 6 days of filming in a studio with Ryan. Now, if we were in the mountains, he would have been like solid.
In his element, whatever.
But scripting, lights, cameraman saying,
I don't know.
Cut,
he's into his food, though. He's a nerd.
But he started out a little rocky the first day. We had to have a little talk.
See how he built you up a little bit? Now he's just bringing you back down.
And then day 2, typical Lamper stout, day 2, starting to get his legs.
Yeah.
By the end, he held it together till the very last day of filming, and then the wheels came off.
Is he like Vanna White?
This
is a meal you can make too, and on this day,
it's going to be kind of like
the best part about it. Let's be honest, Mark. The best part about it is our ladies were involved.
We did a whole kitchen segment where
they're much better.
I hope,
like I said,
that's for
it's
sure.
much better to look at them than Mark's powered ass. So,
not just that. Yeah, they're better to look at, but they're just better on camera. Period. Like
Can you imagine Lampers in the kitchen on a kitchen?
They're like, you do this.
There's no takes
in his apron.
Yeah, there's no retakes with the girls. They just like breeze right through this whole long segment.
It was
without
good.
Any retakes.
So it was the whole Lampers Livesay family living together. Now, I do think the Lampers kind of wanted to move in for a little while with us because their house is destroyed right now anyway, but it was fun. It was really fun. So it's going to be good.
Real quick for people that are listening then, Kayam was short many days worth of food. What was the critical error made there, Ryan? What's the rule of thumb?
So Kayam has come a long way since that first trip, right?
Starvation will do
now
that
the thing, I will build Kayam up since we already tore him down.
I was just going to do the same thing.
I feel like I have to.
Yep.
The guy doesn't have any quit in him. That's for sure.
Doubt.
No.
Even though he was literally starving up there.
I mean, we drug his butt everywhere.
He just didn't know how much food he would be eating with that kind of exertion.
Yeah,
like this was a mountain trip. This was steep-sided canyon where we were going up and down and all over the place. And he learned real fast that he needed to put more food in his body than he was. He just thought he could kind of skate by, I think, and then have a dinner.
Yeah.
Right? Real skimpy in between. That was not the case.
I've had family, friends, buddies, brother-in-laws. They're like, dude, weight loss plan. You know, just
sure.
I'll bring 1,800 calories a day, 2,000 maybe. And then I'll I wanted to lose 12, 14 pounds anyway. It's like, it doesn't work that way.
Well, yeah, sure. You'll lose some weight.
You'll lose it, but you also won't kill anything because you're like.
But by day 5, your energy level is.
Yeah, then when day 5 comes around and we're like, well, this spot's not really producing anymore. We got to go another 6-8 miles back here. Then it's like, but I don't have any food.
Mm-hmm.
well, and I think one of the bigger mistakes he made too was not only when you had the box of food, right? He reaches in there, starts grabbing things. Well, 10 days, guys. People underestimate how much food that takes, right? 10 days.
Yeah.
And that's why we talk about in the course. Everybody talk. We don't need to get into this. A lot of people use it, but a lot of people don't if they're newer.
Yeah.
Having the daily food bag and have all your food in one bag so that not only do you have the volume you need, but it's proportioned out and you can calculate the days. You can grab a bag for every day. It's real simple. Yeah. And you can look at your inventory, what you got left.
I always shoot for like 125 ounces.
Calories per ounce.
Or calories per ounce. And then I always shoot for I'm always around 31 to 3,400 calories a day, roughly. 2.2 pounds is basically what I'm dialed to.
Yeah, I have no idea where the calorie count is. I know most things that we take are over 100 per ounce. Yeah. But it's generally about 2 pounds of food.
Yeah.
So let's throw Kyle back under the bus real fast because he did great for, the amount of food that he had. And then we got him more food at the end and he crushed it.
Yep.
But then we did another trip this fall with a bunch of us. And he didn't use that daily food bag method. He just had a big stuff sack. And so he had all his dinners and everything counted out, breakfast and dinners. But then he was like, well, I'm just going to throw a bunch of snacks in here. That looks like that'll be about 10 days worth, right?
Right.
And how many days in were we before he was out of food? Like day 3 or 4?
I think, yeah. Yeah, it was fast.
And it was gone.
Fast.
And then
so
it was
he had dinners, but that's it.
Breakfast and dinner, that's all he had.
Yeah, but then those breakfast and dinners kind of had to
fill in the gaps.
Get melded into
I'm a little hungry
snacks.
Today. I need to eat.
Yeah.
I eat.
But he learned a lot. Like that was one of those things where we've just done this so long that it's obvious. But that's something that a new person just getting into it, just have if you got 6-day trip planned out, make sure every day has its own bag.
Years ago, I was interviewing Ryan, probably 2018. And I was like, okay, Ryan. So, and by now I kind of had my own system down for food and everything, but I wanted to contrast my methods with another guy's methods who's got it dialed. So Ryan's telling me this, and he's like, well, I typically, we're looking over his peanut butter bars that he homemade and with hemp seeds and stuff and just going over stuff. And I'm like,
hippie food.
Yeah. I'm like, so, okay. It was good. It was really good. The jerky recipe was lit. The peanut butter bars, the little protein and stuff that was in there, the PB Fit, whatever it was, this mixture. I was like, okay. So then I'm like, okay, so what's your macros? Like kind of your goal for the day? Like how much protein, how much in fats, how many calories in carbohydrates, And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay. Well, about how many calories are you consuming per day? I don't know. How much does your food weigh? I don't know. I don't really care. Nothing. There was no.
It's just and I just know this is what works.
And I think you have to play with that.
The thing is,
I never used to weigh it either to be like 2 pounds. I do now, but
I am that way now to where I just go. We prep our food because we spend half the year out in the mountains. So now it's like breakfast, lunch, snacks, this. I just know what goes in the bag for a day's worth of activity and a dinner and a breakfast, and I'm good. Yep. And I have to go back and go, okay, this is how I've tweaked it over time. And I know I need about this much jerky. I need about this much cheese. I'd like a little, pepperoni stick here and there. That's kind of meat and cheese thing. And then I know, okay, I like a few, like, I don't know, something crunchy, some crackers or whatever. And then there's the fruit roll up kind of stuff that are homemade with yams and apples and pear sauce and stuff like that. So I got that in there. That's a serving of fruit and vegetable. And you just kind of go through it. And now I kind of know what that mixture is. And over the years, I had to add a little more, let's say, meat, like jerky. And then I would take out candy and I would put in more
higher protein
yams
stuff
and yams and stuff. I mean, you would tweak it. And my carb intake is higher than Ryan's. I perform better with a little bit more carbohydrate. You're pretty lean on the carbs to the point where it's like, if I try to mimic Ryan's meal bag,
you're not going to have the energy. I
run out of juice pretty easily. And we shoot to the top of something, and immediately I'm a little shaky, and I need to throw in some carbs, and that is, you tweak that over time. You figure out what works for you and what doesn't. And the other trick is, as you're preparing these meals, in my opinion, you got to make sure it's delicious.
Yeah.
And it's delicious on day 5
and
as
variety.
much as variety as much as it on day 2. Otherwise, my cousin Ben is the classic. He puts the same thing. He's lazy about the prep.
Yeah.
So then when he gets there, day after day, he's like, I can't eat any of this. I don't want that power bar, and I don't want this. And so the bag just sits there uneaten day after day after day, because only if you're desperately starving to death are you going to eat half that crap in there. You wouldn't eat it normally. Why? Like
Why
Cliff Bar. Remember those Cliff Bars?
Disgusting.
I remember
Cliff Bars.
packing some of this stuff back in the day and going, what the heck, man?
Yeah.
It was bad. And
that's why, like on this course we're doing, and why the freeze dryer or the dehydrator, whatever you're playing with, is so advantageous, because you can make, each one has its ups and downs. Like the dehydrator, still make jerkies. We still make leathers, which you can, sky's the limit on the leathers that you want to make.
For sure.
You can make a ton of different meals. You can't make all of them. You can't make delicious, like, egg omelets
and the breakfast
skillets.
Is next level on the freeze dryer.
Yeah, biscuits and gravy that you make are next level with the freeze dryer. But it allows you to really get creative, and you could have a different meal every night if you want.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we made it. Ryan and I got. I wouldn't say we made 100% commitment, but we both, in preparation of this course launching sometime this year, in the next month or two, whatever, in summertime, I'm guessing. We're going to try to craft correct me if I'm wrong, our meal bags this year are going to be really specific to making our own stuff. Because like you said, I've really gotten a bad making shortcuts where I wasn't doing the leathers. I wasn't doing the macaroons, macaroon like I used to make. And I get these bars, and I was doing the same thing your brother. I'd be like, I don't want that bar.
Yeah.
So I'll save it. Well, I need those
if
calories.
there's anything in your bag ever on a 10-day trip where you're like, I don't feel like eating that,
you need to exit it.
You need to not ever bring that again. Bring something else.
So I learned that the hard way a little bit too. So there's only a few bars I take now that I like, that I desire or crave or whatever you want to say. But all these ones, you think you're just putting them in there because you need the sustenance, right? But the other thing I'm going to mention about the bars, guys, is same thing when we did the Ironman. You mentioned Ironman days. I learned really quickly is that they weigh a little more. But when you're eating bars that are really dry, like those dry granola bar kind of things, they suck so much moisture out of your body that go with the more higher content moisture bars. Now, if you like the bar that I like the most right now, and it's not my favorite, but I will eat it and I don't really have a problem eating it, is those RX bars. Those basic 4-ingredient bars, but they're heavy moisture content. Yeah. So they just, you can, because what happens is, guys, when you get dehydrated, your saliva production drops dramatically. My very first Ironman, I thought I need a lot of salt and I need some carbs. So I'm going to carry some pretzels. That was the worst idea. I'm like mile 80 on the bike. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to get some pretzels. So I reach back in my bag. I filled my whole mouth full of pretzels.
My mouth is so dry. Yeah.
And I'm like a mile down the road. I've got this giant ball of gum in my mouth. There's no way I'm going to swallow this.
Like you just chalk.
Because I don't have no saliva.
That plan did not.
No, I spit that thing out and I never did it again.
Yeah.
But you can learn from those mistakes.
I agree.
So like you said, the crunchy, a few chips and stuff, but be careful about taking, just because it's light, be careful about taking a whole bunch of dry, real dry product.
I agree. I mean, I've been taking perfect peanut butter bars for probably 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah, same here.
And now I've been freeze drying them. So I chuck them in there. That way, because you're supposed to refrigerate them after maybe 6-7 days. They can last a little bit of time out of the refrigerator, but the freshness and all that keeps better. But now that I freeze dry them, they'll last indefinitely. And they freeze dry fairly well for being such a high fat content, but they do fine. They freeze dry fine. Then I can throw them in a little bag and take them up there. They're a tiny bit lighter, but it's not really the weight that's the issue. Now, it's freeze dried. They're typically wetter. So I have a few that are, unfreeze dried, 2 or 3 for the first few days. I eat those first. Then I dip into the freeze dried later into the hunt. But I agree. I kind of like the bars, even the homemade stuff, like the Packaroon type stuff that's got more moisture in it than the ones that don't.
Yeah, I usually, because I like sweet too, like sugary type stuff. So when I make my bars, whatever, whether it's peanut butter and honey, I tend to, same with like peanut butter protein balls, I tend to add quite a bit more honey. Adds a little bit of moisture, but also the sweetness for me.
Yeah.
Like that's my enjoyment on the mountain.
I also like things like Smashmallows.
They're good.
Are just
They're good.
Straight up marshmallows.
Yeah.
He likes those and ice cream bars.
Yeah.
And ice cream bars.
I know he ruined my son on the hunt this year. Every time we stop now, he thinks he needs 3 ice cream bars.
You're welcome. So here's the thing, though. I will say that with some of this, there are things in my hunting meals for the day that I will never eat on the regular at home, that I don't even crave. I don't even want.
Yep.
I don't care about. And then when we're hunting, they're the best thing ever. When I'm burning tons of calories, it's like, man, I love this particular food. When I'm home, I can barely take 2 bites and I'm like, ugh. So you kind of figure things out through cravings and exertion. Do you have anything like that in your bag?
Oh yeah. Like every once in a while, like I'll throw those Smart Sweets in there.
Yeah. Same here.
There's like 3 grams of sugar, but very, very lightweight sugar.
Yep.
They use allulose, but it's super sweet. It's just kind of like a treat on the mountain.
The peach rings.
And I don't eat those at home, but
Same here.
I throw them in my bag.
Never eat them at home. Rarely. Like if I have some left over from the hunts, whatever, I'll eat them. But they always make it in my bag on the mountain because
it's like an imitation Swedish fish.
Yeah, exactly. They have the peach rings are my favorite.
They have the peach rings. They also have the sweet and sour type.
They have the Sour Patch Kids type. The water. So I always take the watermelon ones.
Watermelon, yeah.
The peach rings, and then I'll throw in lightly. I'll throw in a few
have those
of the
root beer
fish.
ones. I don't really care. They all are good.
Yeah.
I don't.
So while we were talking about that, since we're going to test a lot of freeze drying stuff this year, I am a little nervous about what I was talking about, having a lot of dry products in my bag. So freeze drying, it's so dry. Like these smoothie bites we're making with those ice cube type trays, right?
I smashed those. They were easy.
They are money.
They're so good.
But I'm wondering, like, if we're in a situation where a water supply is, I wouldn't say limited, but we got to be a little more conservative with what we're drinking, filtering, carrying. Is it going to affect me like carrying those dry bars? Am I going to crave them and want to eat them when they're that dry? I feel like I'm going to. Because what's different is you take one of those smoothie bites, you take just the tiniest sip of water and it
melts in your mouth.
Melts in your mouth, yeah.
Like I learned,
like
you gave me that peach that one time.
Yeah.
We were up on the mountain, you gave me that freeze-dried peach because you share your food and he doesn't. And so you gave me this peach and I took a drink of my water bottle. It was like I just take a bite of a real peach.
Yeah.
You did.
I'll say this, Mark. The meals, especially the dinners and breakfast, they change in my pack depending on what hunt I'm going. Like a late fall where I know there's not going to be a lot of water all the time. I'm not packing a lot of eggs and stuff because eggs take a lot of water. Usually, if you do like a peak refuel, it's 16 ounces of water it's because of the potatoes. It's not necessarily the eggs, it's the potatoes in there. And so I will not pack those because I'm like, 16 ounces of water is a lot of water when I can do a 6-ounce oatmeal or something, of water.
And all the stuff that you're talking about worrying about water doesn't even concern me at all.
Not anymore, not necessarily.
I'm not worried about the water so much as the dry products in the bag, just because of the palatability of it.
Like on our sheep hunt,
I feel like you can add as much water as you need, or like very rarely do we have a shortage of water intake at least.
But there are some hunts, like on our sheep hunt, we had to pack water 6 miles.
Okay. There is that on occasion, and that's why something like a Heather's Choice meal has been one of choice at times, because these little dehydrated meals, they take the tiniest amount of water to rehydrate, and you go.
Yep.
So definitely we've needed way less water to eat some of these meals, and we have opted for those at times, especially breakfast, where other meals, especially the potato scramble type stuff, you got to use half your water bottle
it's 16 ounces
get it
of
going.
Water.
So there is that, but I'd say like, especially spring bear, that's not a concern at all.
I don't ever worry
there
about
is no issue.
And with llamas, it's never a concern.
Yeah.
But one thing we're doing too is a little bit different is in addition to the bites. So what I did was I took my smoothie bites. We're talking about when we say smoothie bites, we're mixing a smoothie using the bone broth.
Anything you want.
Using the Stealthy bone broth.
If you take
any formula you want.
If you take the Stealthy, so I take the Stealthy bone broth. I take probably 2 cups of crushed ice, put them in a blender. I add a banana, and I add Adam's peanut butter usually, or like maybe a tablespoon of that, and then a tablespoon of PB Fit, and then I blend it all up, and I drink that every day.
Yep.
If you dump that into those trays,
that's what we've been doing.
Dehydrate them,
except minus the ice because you
freeze dry them.
And I like
the ice. Yeah, that's what I've been
chocolate.
doing.
And so I put some cocoa powder in there.
Like I did 2 batches yesterday. I did a mango banana, right, with the bone broth protein vanilla, and then I did our chocolate bone broth protein.
Mango banana.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's really
we did
good.
it. That's the one we did in the course.
It's delicious.
They were pretty good
with milk.
Somehow mangoes and bananas seem wrong to me. Peanut butter and bananas, chocolate and bananas.
Yeah, you're wrong. They're great.
I would have said the same until I tried it. It was good.
Okay. It's good. And then I did the chocolate version where I did a bunch of peanut butter, almond butter in the blender with the bone broth protein and chocolate. Again, banana. And that is it's like a chocolate shake, right? Mm-hmm. And so Mark was getting at, like we build these trays, like we got different sizes. I've got a medium, got a large.
I've got the large.
I'll have the extra large before too long.
Yeah, I'm working on that.
Outdo him. And basically each bar that we make is like its own meal. Mm-hmm. So each scoop of bone broth protein is like a meal replacement. Each little brick that we build is its own meal for the day.
So we're putting the bricks we're vacuum sealing them into a clear bag, like a regular vacuum seal bag, so that you got a lot of options. So we open up the bag, you pull it out, you just literally take a bite off of it. It's so incredible. Or in the morning you wake up, you pour some water in, you make your smoothie. But I was shocked when we did them. We got them out in the brick, the full brick. We popped them out. We're just breaking off the corners, eating them. I'm thinking, I can totally see myself setting up on the mountainside with that brick laid out on the log and just breaking off pieces all morning.
How many are you bringing on the first hunt?
Oh, I've been my freezer since the course, since we filmed. I have not missed more than an hour of downtime. When that baby defrosts, the next batch is going in.
Oh yeah, and our course tells you like how to defrost faster. We go through all
we do.
The stuff.
It's pretty good. I mean, we put a lot of work into it.
Awesome.
A lot of work went into it. It's a tell-all. Everything that I've ever done in meal prep, everything Ryan and we learn. I mean, Ryan learned more from me than I learned from him, but it was interesting.
I love Mark's humility. That's my favorite thing about it.
Yeah. I think everybody knows I'm kind of just full of it, but. It was interesting because I did, Ryan, you know how open book he is. And I learned a lot over 6 days with Ryan.
Yeah.
Like how he does these smoothies, what combinations, what formulas, what percentages of these things, and we experimented with some things,
right?
And we both have learned some new things. We got some new meals that we never.
It's the beauty about when you do something like this is, so you really dive in.
Dude, I just worked out a new meal.
Really dive in deep.
It's a grits. It's a butter grits shrimp dish. Mm-hmm. It's gonna blow away my pad thai recipe.
Did you guys try so when you guys were at Harvest Right, I was there too.
Yeah.
Hung out there. These are the guys that make the freeze dryer. Phenomenal machine. Their tech is just growing rapidly, and they have samples in-house of different things, and they just toy around with freeze drying all kinds of stuff. And they gave me that cheap Costco scalloped potatoes in freeze dried bag. And I was on the road, and there was some in the back seat, and I was like, I didn't have water, I'm like, but I wonder, I'm hungry. I just finished a CrossFit workout, got busy, and I cracked that thing open. I ate it like a bag of potato chips,
which you can do with freeze dried.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, folks, you don't even have to do anything. Just buy the Costco scalloped potatoes if you're in a hurry, and just freeze dry that, and you have a meal. And it doesn't take long before the cost of that, because a freeze dried meal is like $10, $12. It's ridiculous. Sometimes higher, even higher. And so you can make your own biscuits and gravy. You can buy it pre-made.
You can legitimately take a Taco Bell 5-layer burrito and freeze dry the sucker,
which I did for Kyle last year.
And he's already got it on my list. So he already said to me, so he goes, if I get this course edited in a week, will you do all my meals for the season? I'm like, remember that? I said, you got a deal. I said, limit of 40. And I said, and no 7-layer burritos. And but he didn't do it in a week, so I'm off the hook. So
those ice cream sandwiches are also
I just did a batch
really
of them.
Easy to do too. Like,
I did my freezer dryer holds 37 of them.
The thing that good man. And the thing
I don't know what mine holds but I do know how many eggs it'll hold, and that's 84.
84. God.
Jeez.
Well, mine holds 37 ice cream sandwiches, and when I bagged them, I thought it was such a waste, Brian, to bag them one ice cream sandwich per bag. So mine are double. I got double ice cream sandwiches.
That's perfect for Brian.
That's smart. That's
music to Brian's ears.
Folks, if you're wondering where all the eggs went, it's because Ryan is dehydrating 84 eggs at a time or freeze drying.
If you take those ice cream and you go on a hunt, like they are, because people are like, I don't need an ice cream sandwich. That's just stupid. Then you get up there in your day 6 or 7, and Pedro's there, and he'll give you anything he has for that ice cream sandwich. Yeah. Most people will. And you're like, I've got this, I don't know, chocolate chip mint, or I have the vanilla, or cookies and cream. Like, you can pick. And you can barter for a lot of stuff.
Like, dude, it's like gold back. It's like cash.
Yeah, it's like if you go get the water down at the creek there, it's only 300 feet down the mountain.
So if you go get my water for the next 3 days, I'll give you an ice cream sandwich.
But I did notice it was getting me into two things that get me into trouble. Suzanne makes me these Rice Krispie treats, and she throws in some chocolate, and there's just nothing about those that is going to help with your performance. Zero. Talk about inflaming every joint, and making your gut unhealthy. But it's so good. And then the ice cream sandwiches, they're not really helping with performance.
No, but guys, positive mental outlook is there's those treats.
I will say that the ice cream sandwiches are less brutal on the system than the Rice Krispies. I think I have to give up the Rice Krispies. They're just, it's
Fortitude Week. It's time to go deep. You got to reach deep.
Get rid of those and go Smashmallows.
STEALTHY.com.
Smashmallows all the way. No, when we climb to the top of some mountains, though, quick absorbing sugar is pretty handy. Those Smashmallows.
I'm the same way. Like, I have to have, to a certain point, I have to have some sugar on the mountain. If not, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm in my prime, really.
I don't have to have anything, but I want it.
Okay, well, I guess have to is not the right word.
Strong word there.
But
I think salt and carbs are two things that can make a huge difference nowadays.
I was just getting ready to say, for when you're doing your backcountry meals, I do recommend that you just add a little more sea salt or whatever you like salt to your meals than you normally would, because it's a great way to get that extra salt, and you're really losing more than you think.
Yeah.
That's another thing we talked about. We have in the course, we have an entire module, not a module, but a lot of the module on electrolytes, magnesium, potassium, sodium.
Yeah, I mean,
all the things.
We where I really started to perform much better was when I brought copious amounts of salt. And maybe I didn't eat it. Maybe I didn't need it. Maybe I didn't absorb it. But there were a number of hunts where we ran out of electrolyte, and all we had is like those Lipton tea, little. They're just flavored water.
Yeah.
And it's like you can drink as much as you want and just piss it right out. You're like getting dehydrated by the hour.
You sweat a lot, right? Yeah. I mean, I sweat a lot.
A lot.
You're losing. Some guys just don't sweat that much, and they're able to conserve a lot of electrolytes.
Like Ryan.
But if you're a guy,
if you see the sweat marks on your hat,
if you see the white marks on your shirt or your hat, you better be paying attention to your electrolyte balance.
You've got to really replenish.
Because you're losing a lot.
That's every time I go.
I know, but not everybody does that.
That's
because, like in the racing world, right? You'd be running guys and it'd be just like they were the Casper the Ghost. They're covered in salt by 12 hours of, I mean, literally.
Yeah.
And then other guys, their clothes look like they just put them on.
No, and you have people who I know genetically, if they have any salt, it's like they have health problems.
Yeah.
And then you have other guys who I can't get enough salt. I can't find a downside to salt. I consume a lot, and it's kind of by feel, right? Like you just know how you're feeling if you need more salt or less salt if you're paying attention.
Yep.
And I always bring it anyway. Even the salt caps, I'll just bring those capsules just in case. They don't weigh anything. I have a little bag of those. Just salt for salt's sake, and the Element is another one I eat a lot of.
But when you say salt, Brian, I know you're saying sodium, but that's not really what you're meaning. Let's be clear on the podcast here.
Electrolytes.
It's a magnesium, potassium, calcium mix.
Yeah.
And most people think
you can
salt,
buy those
salt,
on Amazon.
Right?
Salt.
We talk about I recommend a product called Endurolites from Hammer Nutrition. It was the number one product for me.
Endurolites.
Endurolites, super light, same thing.
Yeah,
it's just but they're pH balanced.
Yeah.
What's good about, because sometimes those salt tabs can really cause stomach issues if you take them on an empty stomach or whatever. But these balanced ones don't. I never had any stomach issues with those. Yeah. So that's why I like those, because they're a little more dialed.
I'm going to run.
But what people don't do about electrolytes is they think about going on a backcountry hunt and they think about eating like they would eat at a normal day.
Yeah.
You're not working out 12 to 14 hours a day like you are hiking up and down. Yeah. So they underestimate the electrolyte
calories
loss.
Burned.
Yeah. Calories is one thing.
Yeah, a lot of times
electrolyte
I think that guys don't even know that it's a salt problem. It's an electrolyte problem.
They just don't feel good. They got a headache. They're lethargic.
And again, you got to look at the stuff that the electrolyte intake you're taking in. Does it have the magnesium? Does it have
it's got to have it all.
Because if you're somebody that's high prone to cramping and stuff,
that's another thing.
Your stuff may not have enough potassium in it, magnesium in it. I'm trying the metabolic Mike Mutzel's. I'm gonna do his Myoscience. I'm gonna try.
It'd be nice if Stealthy could produce something like that.
Oh, in the packets.
Yeah. It'd be nice if they had some individual serving stuff for them.
Do you have
I'm not going to lie. I live and die.
You got E-Charge, but it's not.
We got E-Charge. It's full of good electrolytes, but we don't have the hiking packets yet.
The trail packs.
Yeah.
But it's good stuff. And so we enjoyed it and doing it, and we learned a lot. And I think people, and it's not like, I think you learned right now, is it's not all about just meals. There's a lot of all the gear, all the equipment, all the techniques, all the little methods, all the tricks. But you talked about cost. It's got a whole module dedicated to how many meals are you going to have to make for the backcountry to pay for both dehydration method and freeze drying.
Well, I don't even say you can go to the whole other extent of not just including backcountry, just whole meals. Like,
that's right.
By the time you go gather the kids up and you drive someplace to go eat a meal out, you could have just grabbed some freeze-dried burger off of the shelf and made a pasta or whatever, spaghetti. Oh, yeah. Like that. For sure. It takes minutes.
Yep. Just the travel. Yeah. Just being able to just go and not have to go to Taco Bell like Mr. Kyle Lloyd does every time he travels.
He wants me to freeze dry Dr. Pepper now.
Hey,
Yeah.
that was when he was fasting for 36 hours on the mountain with us. That was the one thing he's like, I can't wait to have Taco Bell.
Oh, it's nothing but Taco Bell and Dr. Pepper cheddar.
That's a young man right there. Yeah. That's a young man who can get away with that.
But that Taco Bell that I freeze dried him was his best meal on the mountain on that 10-day trip for sure.
Well, I'll tell you, he one thing about it, he's the one that created that film. Pretty much
he did a good job.
I mean, we had almost no involvement in it at all. So super, super talented. We're excited to get him on some more hunts. We have other people that have recognized his talents though, and they're stealing him away. So we have to continue. You just need to buckle down and make those meals.
I know.
We need to sweeten the pot because we need this.
Well, we tried to get him hooked in on this course. He's a partner in the course.
Yeah.
And, we didn't just want to pay him for the course.
Yeah.
I want some skin in the game.
Yeah.
Right?
There we go.
And,
a little own a little bit of Cayenne.
Yeah, so when it comes to make a sizzle reel, he's going to be a little more excited, right? And
he's wicked talented.
Yeah, he's good, and he's done a lot of coursework before.
Yeah.
So this is not out of his wheelhouse. In addition,
rewinding a little bit, I wanted to mention something that sometimes we get up there, and I know for myself, I just overexert energy, right? And sometimes you get sick or a little stomach bug, or I get a little diarrhea or whatever. So for me, I always want to bring some foods to get me by for a day or two or take it easy on my digestive tract if I've really gone overboard. So when you did races, Ironman races, and the guts went downhill, what sort of foods were you able to actually consume until you could? Because you need something. You need a little sugar. You need a little carb. You need something, and you need some salts and all that kind of stuff. So, what was your strategy when the bottom fell out?
Well, so here's the same thing. The backcountry guys, this is not a time to be testing new foods.
Right.
It's not. People are like, oh, I'm going to do this and this and this. I'm going to throw these. These look great. I'm going to throw these in my bag. Well, that's what we did in the Ironman world in the first few years of failure. You relied on the race because they have aid stations, right? You go through an aid station every about 10 miles on the bike and every 1 mile on the run. And they got gels and bars and pickle juice. They got defense Coke, all the things, sheet cake in Brazil. I mean, weird stuff. And you start eating that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you don't eat it at home.
No.
And you're performing. When you're at a performing, guys, you also got to remember that once you start performing at a higher level, meaning putting forth exertion over long periods of time, your body diverts blood flow away from your stomach. Mm-hmm. So you're not able to digest as efficiently as you are sitting around the house. Your body is like, your muscles are demanding so much blood for energy that your stomach is not getting the blood flow. So your digestive system is really
right. That's
tacked.
when you crap out an entire undigested item.
Maybe I don't do that, Brian, but maybe that is a sign.
I raise my hand. It'll just go right through.
Comes
the body
out
says,
like it went in.
Brian, we're taking a break today.
I don't have that problem.
It's nice that you ate that, but we don't have time to process it.
Maybe that is your problem.
But anyway, when I go super hard and over like super exertion, every now and then, maybe for a day, the next day, let's say I wake up, I can tell.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't need to be throwing like peppers and spiced, eggs and anything that's a little rocky on this. That needs to stay. What I need is maybe like some little sugar gels and like Pedialyte, which is another big hitter for me. I love Pedialyte. Little Pedialyte. Now, I don't have it the Pedialyte just stays there for emergency.
Yes, right.
Like, okay, I need to move. I need some calories. I need to eat. But sometimes if I do anything but liquid at this point today, I'm having trouble. And I'll even have those Cliff shots, those little shot blocks. Few of those.
I was going to say, you pound those things. Yeah, you pound the shot blocks.
Well, like I go through and I might eat, like I'll bring so many calories per day, but I may eat in a 48-hour window. I might only mostly consume all the gels and all the super easy digest food that I have for a couple of days. Then I'm back on track, rested, systems back and going. And then I'm back to eating whatever I want. But
back to the smash mallows.
Those are for when I'm sick as well. Like But otherwise, the rest of the time, it's like I bring that stuff for when the crap hits the fan.
Yeah, because that you're predisposed to having that issue from time to time. I'm lucky that my stomach is like iron, at least at this point in my life. There's very little I can eat that's a problem, right?
Yeah, same.
I mean, anything. So, but in the Ironman, I learned really quickly that I could not eat the things that they gave in the race. I had to eat the things that I got used to digesting during training. So one of the best pieces of advice my coach ever said was, he goes, Livesay, quit eating before you train. Eat while you train. Take your food with you on the bike and eat it while you're riding. Don't eat a meal and think you don't need anything on the bike, because you're not going to race like that.
Yeah.
Don't get all fueled up. Don't get all hydrated up.
Right.
Don't prepare for the rides. Because if you teach yourself to to digest while you're training, your body's going to be ready to do it. And it was game changing.
Yeah.
I didn't learn until 3 or 4 years in.
Yeah. I'd say that's how I actually operate when we're hunting. Like all the food I have is tried and true. It almost never. When I have a problem, it's just overexertion, and it's more like I fast and have a little bit of sugar for a day or two. And I feel fine. Like it's okay not to eat. And I do that all the time. I don't feel well a little bit. I just go, okay, I'm taking a real break today. I don't crave food much. I don't feel like that I have the energy to digest it. And when
people think they got to eat because it's dinner time, they got to eat.
No, I skip meals. Do you skip meals? I skip a lot here and there throughout the hunts. When we really do all night hike, the next day I may not have hardly any food.
Yeah. It's rare I skip like breakfast or dinners, but I will go through the whole day without snacking.
Yeah, same here. Especially
if we're not moving around.
We got something going on, right?
Especially like I find myself, we're hiking around, I don't eat as much.
Yeah.
But, and then I know tonight, I didn't eat much today. We burned a lot of calories, a lot of energy. I need to pack a couple more things in, a nice breakfast.
Where I get screwed is if I were to bring a meal I'd never tried before, and it's got peppers, lots of peppers.
Spicy.
Oh, spicy and you don't get along.
I will crap my brains out. It's just over.
You can't hardly get spicy.
First of all, I feel sick, like right as I'm eating it. I can tell it's not going to go well. And then it just comes out as water, which isn't good. So
it's going to be
water. It's like, what the hell?
Just eat what you're used to.
That's it. Like, I know what's tried and true. I can eat it all day long and I'm fine. But
again, still in the Ironman, he was asking, still high moisture. I switched to fig bars. And I'm really not a big fan of fig bars, but those high moisture figs were giving me the perfect balance of the protein and the things.
When you say figs, I'm just like, you're crap your pants. It's like
Newton fig.
Might as well be like prunes.
Yeah. Dude, I ate them like they were going out of style.
Yeah, I can't do that.
The Newtons, the fig Newtons.
Oh yeah, and in a course of a normal Ironman, I might eat 40 of them, maybe 50.
I could see, one of the things that we're talking about freeze-dried meals, by the way, peaches, even mangoes, pears,
apples, fruits and berries are
figs. Like those are things where a prune, like you better portion those out.
Yeah.
In your daily regime, your daily day by day food bag. Because it's like a bag of potato chips, and you might eat, 7 peaches in one sitting because you don't notice it.
That's right.
And then it's
freeze-dried,
especially freeze-dried. Yeah, like you take bananas and you freeze-dry bananas, and they turn into a penny-sized.
You mean dehydration?
Sorry, dehydrated. Bananas, and it's like all of a sudden you've eaten 10, 12 bananas, and you're like, oh man.
Yeah, banana turns into a stack of 4 dimes.
Yeah, I take a
whole banana.
Small Ziploc, and
individually.
Every single day bag has
same here.
Some bananas, some apples, some berries, some type of fruit.
But those portions, you got to work them out before you. So you're not eating 7 bananas in one day.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
Wreck you.
Yeah.
You.
It's still a banana.
Yeah.
Even though it's hyper palatable.
The thing about freeze drying that I am having not trouble getting used to, but I'm realizing real quickly is that the meals are way bigger.
Yeah.
Like my food bags that I've been using, I only fill them like maybe a third with the dehydrated meal.
Yeah.
But now I'm like squeezing the zipper shut on the freeze-dried meal. And I keep thinking, man, that's a lot of food. But then I keep realizing that it's not going to get any bigger. It actually going to shrink a little when you freeze. It actually kind of condenses. It probably doesn't shrink. It just
it shrinks in the
bag. The airspace leaves. Right?
You add water, it definitely like shrinks a little bit versus the dehydrated
expands.
Blows up.
Yeah.
So I've had to get used to the portion. So that was another thing that was funny about the course we were filming. And I'm like, Ryan, what about your portions? What do you do? I don't know. I'm like, okay, like how much you put in the bag? Well, I've got this bowl. This bowl is what I eat at home. And I just fill that bowl up and
a little bit extra.
And I put on each tray. That's his scientific measurement of how much food he's going to, his portion.
Genius.
It is. Yeah. And he puts it on each tray. And when the tray comes out, that's his meal.
Yeah.
Each tray gets its own meal. Makes it real easy at the end.
It's funny how this bear podcast turned into a food podcast.
Yeah, well, it's a big part of the bear.
It's all hand in hand. With
and you talked about today, and we said, but we're a little different than a lot of guys because in 10 days, you can experience some decline and still perform pretty well. Mm-hmm. If your nutrition isn't 100% dialed, you can pull it off.
Yeah.
But when we come out, we go say hi to our wife, and then we meet up again. When you guys get back from Alaska, we're hooking up again. Yep. We might have a day off. Bam, we're at it again. We can't afford, especially me at 57, I can't afford 1 minute of downtime in my nutrition performance. And I've upped my game even more than I normally would because I'm noticing it since I've been hunting with you guys. I will admit I'm hunting a little harder than I did when I was soloing. And so I'm taking CBD. I'm doing the turmeric. I'm doing a few things that I'm a little heavier on the electrolytes than I used to be.
Yeah.
And I'm getting more down like on racing days. It's funny. Like I'm managing inflammation, which I used to, when I hunted, I didn't manage inflammation. We hadn't even talked about that, but managing inflammation is a game changer in the hunting. Just like managing electrolytes and managing calories.
And also, Mark, I'd say if your joints are inflamed, then your guts are too.
Everything is.
Yeah.
It's a it's a systemic issue.
I think a lot of people don't, because you don't have pain receptors really in your gut in the same way.
That's right.
So you don't really know how bad things are internally. But something to always remember is if your knees and hands are swollen, then the internals aren't working right either. Yeah. They're swollen too. And
there's certain foods you just kind of have to chop out. We've talked about the sugar thing a ton, and sugar is very
I chopped out in the bread. I chopped out so much.
I'll tell you, like we could do some crazy thing, and I want the sugar, and I'll eat 2 or 3 Rice Krispie treats that the wife sent, and within a couple hours,
like I shouldn't have done.
My hands are stiff. Like that's how fast and how pro-inflammatory that is. Now on the flip side, I can eat the yam, the peaches, and the pear sauce roll up and all that, probably the smoothie bites, that kind of stuff, which has got a lot of carb too. And I do not have that swelling reaction, but it satisfied the sugar and the carb craving because not all sugar is just sugar. Like there's or I should say not all carbohydrates are equal, you know? And so figuring that stuff out, and it's not like, look, the Rice Krispie treat or the ice cream sandwich is great. It tastes great. But it's not like I feel robbed if I have a delicious alternative over here that's good for me. So being disciplined about what I put in my bag is critical because I'll eat what I bring, you know?
Yeah. Guys, it's money in the bank. You know, it's money in the bank. You're making an investment for that. You're not, when you put good stuff in your bag or when you're preparing your meals and thinking about the way we've been talking about it, it's not helping you on day 5 or 3 or 4. It's day 7, 8, 9, 10. You're putting money in the bank for the days you're going to need it. It's those final go-to. That's when you need it. It's down on the line. Everything's on the line. And you got to be at your best then. You're always at your best in front. Your energy's up. Your adrenaline's up. You're excited. You're motivated. You're dry. You're not wet. And then everything's coming off.
Totally. I want to ask a question to you guys. Okay. Do you remember a particular hunt you've been on, in, let's say the last 8 years, where the wheels fell off, where your body was just wrecked right? I have one particular hunt in mind where things just, the combination of not the right foods, not the right, so many factors, but one where it just, I don't know if Ryan could guess which hunt that was because he was there, but it would suck if he guessed the wrong one.
See, there was this one.
It's kind of like every hunt, kind of, Ryan.
But there's been a few times where, whoa, man, I was digging deep because things were broken, sore, swollen. The swelling was at a level I hadn't felt in years, and it wasn't like I wasn't fit, but the swelling was. So I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared in many, many ways, and I can talk about that. But do you guys have some hunts like a hunt you can think of like that, Ryan?
It's been a while, but I have one where I bonked like bad, but it was a long time ago. It was when I was coming back from Russia. I was fishing and eating cookies and guiding people all summer long. I was not in the greatest of shape, and I came back and went and did a late season mule deer hunt, and I had nothing in the tank. Took a lot of exertion just to get into this place, but it was the one time that I can remember where I could look down into the bottoms like I don't have it. I got nothing in here to go for it. I wasn't in shape, and I'd been eating crappy food, and yeah, that one was eye-opening for me. That was a big one, but
mine's pretty recent memory.
Yeah,
last year,
really,
on our second hunt, when Brad and I went in, we had some really great days early. It was a pretty easy hunt, and it was no big deal. We decided to go
honey bear hunt.
The honey bear hunt, right?
Yep.
So we're in Grizz country for a while. We made a move out of Grizz, and we packed in 7 miles.
We were about 4.5 up one drainage.
Well, we packed out from the place
we'd hunted out. We packed out. We stayed the night at the pickup, and then we went in about 5.25 miles to a fork in the trailhead that morning. And then it was, well, we're here. It's midday.
Let's go up this drainage.
Let's go check if we can find a bear. We got a couple hours. Then we zipped up the drainage and ended up not finding a bear for a long time, which we went about 3.5 miles up. On the way back, we found the bear. We shot the bear, packed it back to that spot, and we were in such heavy Grizz country.
There was tracks everywhere.
And we knew there weren't many black bears in that area because it wasn't very open. We needed to get another 5 or 7 miles in, and we were like, it's the point of the season where he wanted to go home with Eli. I was tagged out. It's like,
we killed our bears.
Do we head back to the truck now or do we not? And we made the decision because of all the Grizz sign and just all the factors. We decided to head back out to the truck at the same time we killed that bear. Ended up being just over a 17-mile day.
17-mile day, and we were going all day. It was one of those situations. We didn't eat.
Yeah.
We're just hiking. Then we see the bear. We kill the bear.
Yep.
Well, you don't eat. You get bloody. We just didn't get anything.
Well, then we rush because we have an hour and 10 minutes before it's dark, and we're in heavy Grizz country.
And we're going to run into a Grizz on the trail. I know we are because there's tracks everywhere. So he puts me in the front.
Bull crap. I asked him, I'm like, Mark, do you want me to go to the front? He's like, you think I'm scared of these bears? I'm like, no.
We literally went through a couple of these paths. We literally were getting our guns out. I'm not joking.
Because we've seen so much sign is that you're coming around these bends. It's like,
I'm like, I know we're going to walk around the corner.
Because grizzlies love trails. If we see a grizz,
if there's a sow and cub and you bump them
it is going to be 25 yards or less, and they can close within milliseconds. Like 3/4 of a second, they're going to be closing that ground.
So we're going, right? We're going. We get, and we're kind of getting it out of there. We're hiking fast. We're
fast as the llama.
I think we're both a little anxious because it was this is legit. Well, one, we've already been looking at grizz for the whole week.
We've already shot.
We've already had to shoot at grizz.
This is by far the biggest, the most grizz sightings
I've ever been involved with.
Yeah.
So about mile 10, mile 11, we had 5 or 6 miles ago. I'm like, whoa,
that's a lot of miles.
I feel like the wheels are coming off.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say anything, Brian.
Yeah, of course not.
I can shake it off. I'm good. I'm drinking a little bit. And I don't think we drank enough either that day either. I think we had everything in the tank.
Yeah.
We had no electrolytes. We had no food. We didn't drink enough. I mean, at least me.
Mm-hmm.
And so by the time we hit the rig, I'm pretty bonked. Last year.
Yeah, we got back to the truck it was like 1 a.m. We left at 4 or 5 a.m., 4 a.m. that morning.
It was a long day.
Yeah.
Nothing serious up and down.
Yeah.
And we weren't packing heavy weight. We had 75 pounds on when we packed the bear out. We got back to the llamas.
So that was one of them.
It was a biter. It left a mark.
I think mine is a little more, I would say, relatable. Before I was doing a lot of 10-day hunts, it was more 2 and 3 day hunts. And I was, they were solo. And I'd played in a 3-on-3 basketball tournament in Boise, so I was already dehydrated from that throughout the weekend. And then I went like on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, solo hunting, mule deer hunting for myself. And I was pushing hard, like it was towards the end of the season, whatever. And I was pushing really hard. I was dehydrated. And on my way back out, I started cramping up. And I was not going to stay the night. I was going to come out that day. And I cramped up to the point where like arms, hands, my stomach, I couldn't hold any food down. I just wanted to throw it back up. Same with water. But I was cramped up like this. And I had to I put a tarp over and I laid down.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't know what else to do. Like, I didn't have an inReach at that time or nothing, And I'm like, what do? I can't drop 500 feet down to that creek to get more water. Like, I just can't function. And so I had some salt. At that time, it was little salt packets, whatever. I popped those. I laid there and I just kind of slept and chilled.
Yeah.
And I kind of would take a rock if I could, and I would, try and massage my arm here, my legs here. 'Cause my legs were cramping too. And I just sat there for pretty much almost all night. And about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, it was bright moon. I got up and I got to where I could walk pretty much, and I just slow roll.
Yeah, that's
the rest of the way
sounds
out.
A little dangerous. Like you push that a little. This is the dumb farm.
Those are rhabdo. Those are rhabdo.
Yeah, this is the dumb farm boy. Push it till too far because you're just a Idaho tough guy, and then you're dead.
It scared me. It really did scare me. Because
this would scare me too.
Up until that point, I will be honest, I never paid attention to the electrolytes, the salt intake. I mean, I had the salt intake, but I didn't pay attention to really putting that into your body pre-exertion.
Yeah.
And throughout the exertion.
Yeah. It's easy to do with a basketball tournament and kind of thing like that. A few days
I didn't
of that,
even think about it.
And then you just go right on top of that.
I was drinking Mountain Dew at the time. Come on.
What? You just said an important thing. We haven't, maybe last thing we say, but when it comes to electrolytes, one thing I learned the hard way, you can't wait till everything's in the tank before you start doing it.
Right.
Yeah. Right. This electrolyte replacement is preventative, guys. You take it through the hunt, not when you're like, oh man, I'm starting to cramp. I better hit some electrolytes.
Too late.
It's really hard to recover from that.
Yeah.
And if you're cramping at night, a lot of guys cramp at night when they exert, right? If you're cramping at night, then you need to be up in your game in that really quickly. It's not a bad idea to up your electrolytes when you start, of course, but man, be preventative. Don't take initiative. Don't react.
Yeah. Well, here's what I've had to do is I think about when we, not as much now. I stay in pretty good shape year round and stuff. But before it was I'd go to hunting season and I'd hike myself into shape. And
you young people say,
oh, that sounds familiar.
I'll get my mountain legs on day 5.
My mountain lungs. Takes 3 days. I got mountain lungs.
I've heard Livesay say that.
Yeah, that's pretty familiar.
But I'll be honest, the last few years, especially because we're going from here to here, it's 7 miles, and you're grinding for those 7 miles to get into that spot.
Yeah.
And so I've learned now, just my body type is before I grind out on those hunts, 3 and 4 and 5 days before, I'm hydrating. I'm taking my electrolytes. I'm putting that stuff into my body exertion workout, and it makes a big difference.
If you subtract the experiences where you got some kind of bug, like you got Giardia or something. Was it Giardia?
Yeah, I didn't.
Coccidia or
I didn't have it during the hunt. I got it from a hunt.
The 14 days
before you. It was on your way to.
And it was on my way to another hunt. I was
another hunt.
we were literally at the trailhead.
Yeah,
he was kind of.
I was out of it.
He's kind of weak.
I was like, something's really wrong when I could tell the night before. I'm like, yeah, right, not quite all there, And then we're mule deer hunting, folks. We're ready to go out.
He'll die first,
and all of a sudden, the next morning, he's like, Mark, Brad, I think I'm gonna hang back here for a bit.
Said, I think I'll hike it and meet you guys. I'm like,
we're like, what? Ryan, running mule
I'm
deer.
Meet us. He goes, I'll meet you guys in the morning. I'm like,
it's bad.
I'm like,
and then,
we didn't even know what to say.
Yeah, and then the next day, he's texting me, and he's like,
I think it'll be one more day. I'm like,
one more day.
Yeah.
We need to
You ended up getting
that was when I called Hill and I was like, you got to give me a prescription. This has got to be. I had so much time to think about it, and then it didn't dawn on me until I really did think about it. It's like, you know what?
14 days ago,
I had broke my SteriPen on that trip, and
the trip before,
and we were in country that. I've drank from the creek a million times, but it always been SteriPen. But then that day I broke my pen, didn't SteriPen it, didn't ask Brian to borrow his. I just drank it. And 14 days later, it caught me. And then, when you get Giardia, it's too, you get a phone call from the state. They want to track it, see where it comes from.
You love that.
They got to know,
right? You love that.
Because it's like you can spread Giardia, so they got to know.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that before the phone call.
Wow,
really?
I learned all kinds of stuff.
No
idea. Learned something today.
Yeah,
like the flu.
So I could pass it to my kids or my wife, or drink out of the same water glass or whatever. And so, I had no idea that it was that big of a deal. But we got Hill to get me a prescription. I drove like 2 hours to get it.
I was going to say, you drove all the way out, all the way back.
It, hiked back in. Yeah.
Yeah. In last year on that Pedro Brady hunt with you, I got sick.
Yeah.
I still don't to this day know what, but I got some kind of bug and I ended up really sick. Now, aside from those, which are just, you happen to catch a virus or a parasite or something.
Yeah.
Times though where the one hunt that I can recall that really, it was where I was just swollen, like ridiculous, was I was on a hunt with Ryan and Lusk, and the boots were too stiff, too small, feet swelled up. We hiked ridiculous miles. And then when we killed bears, we went down and we went up and we went down and we went up and you had to pack the bear up out of these holes. There's no way around it, That's why no one wants to kill a bear in there or anything in there, because there's only one way to get the animal out, and that's not a downhill climb.
Yeah,
it's up.
You're packing up.
And we did this hunt, and I was working hard, and I felt good for a few days, but then the wheels fell off pretty quick. And I remember we killed those giant bears. It was awesome. I love the hunt. It was one of my all-time. Just incredible hunt, coming on the wallows and seeing these giants. And we killed 3 bears in 30 minutes.
Yep.
On this trip. It was wild. And then we did a night hike in cliffed out, rocky stuff, and
that was a brutal night hike out of there.
And then when we got out, the sun was already up. So we didn't sleep. And that's one of the things I don't do well. I need my sleep. I need the recovery times. So we didn't sleep, and I just fell on the ground and wrapped up in a tarp next to a black widow, and just
right next to a black widow.
and we slept a little bit, and then we got up and we got out. But the combination of factors, I realized at that point that I needed to improve my nutrition. I needed to improve the electrolytes. I needed to improve my fitness. That I was good and I was fit. I was strong, and I needed to have better fitness going into the season, because this is like the first hunt since like October. In April, May, and it caught me, and I've never had a hunt that was like that since. But I can remember, I couldn't even. Every finger was so fat and swollen that I couldn't really bend my fingers. And Lusk was hurting too, so I didn't feel too bad. Ryan was, we were all wrecked from that. It was a lot, but definitely after that, I got my fingers after the swelling went down, they would just lock down. And then when I tried to open them, they would just lock open. There was a catch in all my fingers.
Call that
trigger
finger. That's what it is.
And it was is this permanent? This is, I can't, I felt weird. And the doc's maybe, and a lot of things happened as a result of that. But those kind of moments you might think, well, I pushed too hard. Dude, we do stuff like that now all the time, and I don't get wrecked like that at all. So it's not that your body's not capable of it. It's that
intake of...
I didn't take care of my body.
Yeah.
And that was my result.
Didn't take care of you. Yeah.
And so I think guys that go out and are like, man, I wrecked myself. Well, probably because the nutrition isn't dialed, the electrolytes aren't dialed, the sleep isn't dialed, fitness isn't dialed. And now we do stuff like that on the regular, go hard. And it's great. Like, I can wake up the next day and pretty much go, I felt like I did the day before. And I felt like I did the day before that and the day before that. But I didn't have things figured out then.
Well, a lot of guys too, they think you got a 10-day hunt. You wreck yourself a little bit and they just keep pushing themselves, right? There's nothing wrong with a half day off or to be able to get the long term. Because if you keep going and you're in a state of decline, you're going to pull the plug at 5 days.
Yeah.
1 day off, you're still hunting 9. I'm not saying it's great to do it, but like last year, Hunter and I, we went after that bear and killed it. I think it's coming out next week. Mm-hmm. Dude, it was brutal. It was brutal to get to that bear and back, and it just took us all day. And again, it was the same kind of deal. It took so long that I don't think we took care of ourselves that day. We didn't eat enough, didn't drink enough. Yeah. And it was the amount of time it took us to get it over there, get it back, pack it up, deal with the rafts, all the things. And then I remember getting back to camp and I had to take care of the llamas and feed them and everything. And I was walking around like a freaking zombie, And the next morning we kind of wake up. I said, Hunter, I'm not going anywhere today. I said, I'm going to get myself together. I'm going to recharge myself. I'm going to get my electrolytes and we're ready to roll the next day. He goes, me too. And so we had a meeting of the minds, right? But then we hit it the next day.
Right? Ryan doesn't give me that
I know
that luxury. It's like, we gotta go here, we gotta go here.
But personally, my opinion,
we've done that. We've taken our rest.
We had
slightly.
You just saw in the film. We had our time under the tarp where we weren't cruising.
We were forced to take time.
We were forced to take time.
All that weather.
Yeah. But you're better to stay in the game.
Yeah,
than to quit the game.
Yeah. For sure.
Right? You got to keep
your
eye on the prize.
You have to go hunt whitetail or something.
That's right. You got to go
set a tree stand. That.
Go get in a freaking tree
Well, and I think there is a little bit of pacing. And one thing to know yourself. So when we went up there after these bears, I was a little worried that camp was a little far back, and probably what would have been better is either you spend the night there and then you make the hike in the morning. But we didn't have sleeping bags or anything to be able to really comfortably do that. Or you if you don't spend the night there, then you hike out without a giant backpack full of meat in the dark, cliffed out. You just pack it out you just leave it all there.
Yeah.
And go back the next day. That works better for me because I need the sleep. So we could have got out in an hour and a half or so but as it was, wandering around in the dark with super heavy packs because we didn't want to have to, if you're coming back anyway, but I should have gone away lighter. I should have, and it took us way longer to get back than it should have. We should not have wandered around till daylight.
Well, guys, we talked about this yesterday, and the nighttime navigation is a legit deal.
Yep.
Yeah. And you guys are experienced, right?
I mean, you tried. Get tough. What was it?
So the bottom was really choked out.
Like brushy.
Really choked out with brush. So we opted to get out of there, off the creek, and get up on the hill a little bit. Well, we had some idea of what it was like on that side hill. We knew there was rocks, rock fields, some cliffs, stuff like that. So, yeah, we had to bright light it and just navigate our way out, going by contour.
The next day, we went back in, and this time we followed a kind of a game trail that went right up the bottom. Mm-hmm. That was where we thought it was too choked the night before. Turned out there was some damn sweet.
Yeah. Well, what we did was
that. Well, you guys, that's what I'm getting at. The nighttime is a legit problem.
Yeah.
So if you remember, the valley kind of split. Whenever it goes up so far, we found a really cool bear wallow in there, and there was like perfect bear trail that
Stomp
left like
walking.
stomp pads all the way up
like
to it,
little
out of
pie
it.
dish holes.
Yeah. But then there was this split, and then the creek that to the right was like just nasty, choked out. Ticks were unbelievably bad that year. Like it was just tick central. And we made it out. Yeah, I think it was like 5:30 in the morning. We made it out that night.
Yeah, the sun was
no
coming
sleep. Had to go back in, get the rest of it. But 3 bears in 30 minutes. You got some work to do.
Yeah, but I will say, like when we went back in during the daytime, we were so efficient getting in and getting back out. And it makes me wonder, especially because now we knew we were at the end of the hunt. We all tagged out basically, so it was time to go home, and we were anxious to wrap that up because we had plans for other things. But man, because it would have taken us another day longer if we had just come out without packs. But pacing maybe would have been better for me at my fitness level at that point. I think that's really what pushed me over the edge and really wrecked me was,
Well, people ask us all the time, like, can't believe you guys pack all your stuff. Like Pedro, for example, you pack all your stuff to one area to the next. Why not just dump it, come back to it? And sometimes we will do that. But there's a lot of times that it's like, why am I going to waste even more energy going to a spot, and then I got to come all the way back to my camp, and then I'm going to head back up to that spot again the next day.
There's something liberating about just having
everything on your back.
Look, today's gear, you tell me what you think. My AirPad is, how much does the AirPad weigh?
17 ounces, yeah.
A pound. How much is my sleeping bag?
2 pounds.
2.5, 2 point, yeah.
That's 3 pounds, maybe a little tarp. Like, why would I not bring it? Because the option of being able to just stop where you're at any moment.
Yep.
You're saying I want to get rid of 4 pounds, 4 pounds in shelter and sleeping bag. If you're splitting it with somebody, it's like, so you don't have to carry that minimal weight. You're going to make yourself have to hike 3 miles back to your base camp.
And yeah, I get it. You can drop food. You can drop 4 or 5 days of food, and come back.
Well, we do that anyway.
We do that anyway.
That doesn't mean you can still do that.
Right.
You can still hang that in a tree.
Yep.
But to ditch your sleeping bag, tent,
here's the thing. That's good weather. You don't even need to set a shelter up.
Well, now we're running, we got that kind of this new system we're kind of doing now where we're splitting up and doing, we're taking in bigger tents.
Yeah.
In some case, maybe we'll take the Peaks TP.
When we killed those bears, if Lusk and Ryan and I had just our little bags, and we could have just slept right there and not had to make a whole trip out in the dark.
A night hike that exerted more energy.
As soon as the sun came up at 5 a.m. after we slept 5 or 6 hours, we could have bombed out and gone back in same day and come back out and made our activity a daytime so much more efficient to move in the daylight than it was in the dark.
Yeah.
But that meant, and I think more often than not nowadays, we do almost always have the ability to spend the night wherever we're standing.
Yeah. I mean, we usually have puffy jacket, puffy pants, and a tarp. So we could do it if we need to.
Yeah,
for sure. Yep. We might not always carry the bag, but we got enough clothing within what we have in our pack.
You can start a fire outside.
Well, I talked about this in my elk course. A lot of guys I know guys that, hunt with partners, and they kill an elk if it's 2 of them or whatever. And they're facing a couple of trips, right? Packing out, especially solo. Man, guys that make the mistake all the time of taking that first load as the max load.
You're right.
I'm going to carry 150 on this first one so that my next ones are lighter. That is a bad idea. You're not going to be better shape for that next load at 150.
Yeah, Ryan, what's your strategy in that situation?
Try to break it up even.
Yeah,
Me too.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly what I was thinking.
But you know what I'm saying? The mentality.
Same amount each.
But there are times where we got 2.5 miles back down. Yep, we're loading the whole elk. We've done it multiple times.
No, one trip, and the hunt's over.
And the hunt's over, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to put forth this effort, but I've calculated it out. But I'm talking about when you're faced with a multi-trip situation.
Yeah,
I see so many guys try to make that massive, and you can get yourself hurt. Guys, a fall carrying 125 pounds.
Yeah,
could be fatal.
Ryan changed my ideas on that when he would hunt solo. And I'm like, how far were you in? I was about 5 miles. And you shot an elk by yourself? Yep. And you packed it out by yourself? Yep. Well, that obviously took days. It was a process of going out, coming back, going out, coming back, spending the night at the truck, spending the night at the animal, he just chilled. He just read books, listened to audiobooks, whatever you do. I don't know. But
That's not the only way to do it.
It's not
for sure.
Yeah, it's not a like all in one go thing for you. You're pacing. Yeah.
No, you're not in a hurry.
Yeah.
You're like, you've managed your meat. You're taking care of it. It's in the shades, all the things. And you're managing your weight consistent.
Yeah.
If 70, 80 is your deal, then make 3 trips. Don't try to make a 150 and a 70.
Yeah. No, more than ever now, I feel like I'm much more inclined to not be a hero like that and take my time and lower the weight and make 2 trips and stuff. But there are occasions like when we packed my bowl out this year, you know, it was stupid heavy, but it was
when Eli and I bailed on you?
Yeah, that time.
Another time the llamas haven't packed out for us. No, I'm just kidding.
But I mean, we're careful though.
We're careful.
And if it wasn't just almost all downhill, it would have been pretty rough.
And again, we know our fitness level too.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to wreck ourselves at that point. We know the mileage. We know as soon as we get it to here, the llamas are packing it out.
I'll tell you this,
5 miles.
You know, as I've been using the initial ascent pack, by the way, I'm a lot less concerned about herniating a disc or hurting my back in the way that I have before, because it carries the weight so well on my hips, and where I feel like I'm not at risk as bad as when I've tried to carry 120-pound packs with other packs. I feel like a lot of that back pain, the lumbar is pretty fried the next day. And nowadays it's like, no, I'll carry pretty heavy load and I feel like I'm kind of safe. It's just don't slip, don't fall. But I don't feel like the wear and tear on my back is the same that it has been before. So
yeah, I love mine. That's for sure.
So let's end this thing. Where can people get a hold of Treeline Academy, and what do you got going on for people that are listening? Because you have a lot of irons in the fire, things you've been working on. You got the toolkits that are new. So without dragging it on forever, tell people.
Well, so I had no idea where this was going to go when I first started. Right? I knew I wanted to build this e-scouting elk course, and I thought I had a lot to contribute to people with that, because if I'm good at anything, I think that's the thing I'm good at, right? For e-scouting and just map work and data management and all the things, app use, everything.
Yeah.
So I built that, and then I showed people in the course how to do these data sets in Google Earth. They're game changers. And I'm so convinced they're so powerful that I just got excited about teaching people how to do them.
Yep.
Well, it's pretty technical. So I just kept getting endless comments and questions.
Yeah.
And then Ryan, I got to give Ryan a little more credit, because why don't you just build them and make them part of what you're doing? Well, I couldn't, because the data files are so big, and to do an entire state didn't work. Anyway, long story, I figured out a technical way to do it where I put the data on a server, which decreases the file size that Google Earth is dealing with. And what it also allows, anytime I make a change to the data, it's real-time change.
Okay.
So I had the new fires for this year. They're automatically there. It's so nice. So anyway, I built these toolkits in addition to the e-scouting. So I have those available. There's 5 states available, or you can get all the states as a bundle, whatever. And then I decided that this Western education thing is something I really enjoy. I don't know if I have a knack for it, but I love doing it. And I've been on a lot of podcasts talking about lots of this and that. And I love doing my own meals. And I'm digging bear hunting the last 8 years. So I'm like, I had these ideas. I wanted to do something there. I wanted to do an e-scouting bears.
Yeah.
Well, then I started spending more time with you guys. I'm like, man, we need to team up on this and make it. Because I'm not a tactical. I think I'm a pretty good bear hunter, but I am not at your guys' level. So I am not going to speak very much on how to hunt bears as a general.
Although I'd say now you're a lot more qualified than you were 3 years ago.
I was. Yeah. I am. But now I think with the trifecta, with your knowledge, it's going to be end to end. So
people were expecting that, by the way, this spring. So people listening are pissed off because it doesn't exist yet.
We were on track until Ryan derailed us. And Ryan says, hey, well, Harvest Right reached out. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah.
Harvest Right, the freeze drying company we just were talking about.
Yeah.
Somehow I I got connected with them. Ryan already had kind of and then they decided all of a sudden, I think that they kind of wanted to get in the hunting space a little bit.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, we started shifting gears to this backcountry mules course.
Yeah.
So
we also didn't want to shortchange the bear course.
No, and it's a massive undertaking. Yeah. Guys, this thing is going to be, well, right now on the curriculum, it's 55 modules in the bear course. It's a giant. It might be
intimidating to people.
It's very intimidating.
But I think people will really, it's going to blow people's minds because it's not going to just be someone lecturing. You're going to see film you see a lot of bears. You're going to get a lot of visuals to go with the information that's going to be, just priceless.
Well, this next year too, I know people want it, but by waiting a year, it's going to allow us to go on all these hunts this year and really get specific in the field about, like, we do a lot of things, but we don't take the time to explain it.
Well, like breaking down a bear, of that stuff. We're lacking some stuff that we'd like to film more. We have some of it, but we could do it better.
More technical, more gear, glassing. And really what I want to do this year is tie some of the e-scouting theories that I talk about directly to in the field. Here we are setting at the same spot and why we're setting here.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about that. So I don't know how much I'm going to do at Treeline, but I know this. We're going to do the DIY meals course that'll be coming out hopefully this summer. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to buckle down and get this bear course done once I get you two motivated. Yep. And it's going to come out in 2024. Right?
Yeah.
We all agree.
Yep.
And it'll be worth the wait.
Yeah.
So that's really it.
Very cool. I love it.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm stoked. So folks, check out treelineacademy.net, right?
That's right.
And when can they expect the food courses being available?
It's kind of well, that's not true. We got a lot of work to do. Guys, this is we filmed for 6 straight days.
1 week?
That's summer. I'm going to say summer because we got recipes. We got 40 days of bear hunting coming up.
It all takes a little longer than you think.
Yeah. Well, we're bear season
making
now.
a bear series or movie series. It's like,
we still got
time.
Like a B-roll shot list to get and more recipes.
You do it right with the movies though, because you set your self-imposed deadline every Sunday. You got to get it done, so there ain't no procrastination.
No, once I start rolling them out, I have no life after that though. But you know what? It's like the body of work that's done. Because it is what it is at the end. And that's when you were describing the bear course, I was thinking to myself, you don't want perfection to be the enemy of getting things done. Yeah. So we'll get it done. There was a lot.
We don't want it to be just how to do A, how to do B. I want it A to Z.
Yeah.
From
that's how you
finding
are.
The spots
and that's
to
why
cooking the bears.
That's why I recommend, folks really need to, if they haven't already, get the e-scouting course. It's worth every penny. By the way, if you use the code GRITTY, that helps me out, takes a little money out of Mark's pocket.
So if you want to punish Mark, use the code GRITTY.
You'll get a little saving.
I hope they do.
But
saves you some money too.
But definitely you want to get it even if you're not an elk hunter, but you are hunting out west, and especially if you're going to bear hunt. Because all that stuff's transferable to other animals.
I'll go one step further if we got time. I've getting a lot of questions about this because I don't have the bear course done. Guys, that elk course has an entire late season module that I get pretty dang detailed in the snow depth analysis, which is just reverse
the same thing.
Reverse it for spring bears.
Yeah.
You need to know where the snow levels are, and that course teaches it. The other thing it has is last year I did it turned out phenomenal. I did a 2-hour webinar on spring bear snow level analysis. I did a 2-hour webinar. I took the time to edit it, with my editing skills, and it's in the elk course. Yeah, it's included.
It's good.
Yeah, it's 2 hours. Right. It was one of my most watched webinars I've ever done on bears, and it's pretty comprehensive snow analysis.
Yeah,
and so it's there. You can wet your taste buds with that.
Right.
And get a little prepared for spring bear. I also, the last thing is I just finished this week. Brad actually said it before it was done. So I'm going to clarify what he said on the movie is I have a spring bear data set that's going to be in the toolkits as of next week they're all the snow research. It's snow historical research. Yeah. So you can look back with Google Earth on the dates you want to go hunting.
Yep.
And see what the snow's been doing for the past 3 years on that date. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very powerful stuff.
It's sweet.
It's in there. It's going to be available next week.
Good. And then Stealthy. You've got any new products over there? Food-wise?
Still working on products. Always working on products. And on both ends.
I got a big box in my truck. That's one of the things I like coming to meet him. I'm like, I need some CBD. I need some bone broth.
I got the new travel gummies.
Yep.
So those are excellent. The CBD oil travel gummies. I got the immune support gummies. Been taking those, which are CBD based with vitamins
of elderberry and zinc and all that kind of stuff. Yep.
And then I got the electrolytes, of course, the E-Charge.
Yep.
Do you think you're going to have packets for that, travel packets, or you just got to make your own for now?
What do you mean? On the
E-Charge?
E-Charge? Yeah, we're still working on the travel packets.
Okay. The other
just get a freaking Ziploc.
The other one is the CBD sleep gummies. I live by those.
We got the new sours. Those things are delicious.
They are good.
Those are good.
Yeah. So we have many more gummies on their way. In fact,
Brad loves taking his supplements by gummies.
I love the gummies. Even vitamin D is like one of those subs that I know I need to take, but I'm not a big capsule fan.
Yeah.
So we've got this new vitamin D gummy that's about to launch, and it's good. It's got all kinds of good stuff in it. It's like it's activated.
One of the ones we mentioned earlier, but I highly recommend, is the vanilla or the chocolate.
The bone broth protein.
Dude, we're making all these smoothie bars like we mentioned with this.
You can't go wrong with that bone broth protein.
I don't know why. It just digests.
It digests better than any
I
other
absolutely
protein.
hate proteins, like especially a whey or something.
Just all.
Yeah, when I was a young man, proteins were it. Like spending time in the gym and lifting.
Your gut's
but you're always getting
though.
wrecked. And then this bone broth protein doesn't do any of that.
No.
And it's basically a meal replacement. It has all the vitamins you need for the day. And it's built into it.
So the turmeric, that's huge.
You have that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then the Stealthy immune probiotic. Yep. That for me is it works really well for me. And the other one is Digest Plus. I'd say those three are my sort of everyday gut regime. But, my wife likes the detox stuff. And you have some other digestive enzymes or something that my sister takes that she really responds to.
Yeah, we got to restore. There's a whole gut restoration program that if you get on the site, you can check it out. And it comes with a bundle, which has the restore, the digest, the detox, the immune probi, where it's kind of good to do that like once a year or so, which is what me and he'll do. Just kind of get your gut put back into place where it should be and digesting food the way you're supposed to. Yeah. So all that good food you're eating, you're actually getting something out of it.
Kime definitely needs that bundle.
No, he probably needs to stack like 3
He needs to detox off of the Taco Bell and the Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
So my wife came home when Kime was on his way. That morning they were driving in and I had a 6-pack of Dr. Pepper on the counter. She goes, what is this? Did you buy that for Eli? I'm like, no, and it's not for Eli. It's for Kime. Kime drinks Diet Dr. Pepper. I'm like, yeah, I'm motivated. I've got to keep him. I got to keep him going.
Hey, only young people.
Nothing puts a smile on his face more than Dr. Pepper.
When he walked in, I had it right there like a flower arrangement, and he was ready to roll.
Yeah. Well, folks,
he's a simple.
I don't recommend that. I say stick with Stealthy.
Yeah.
Use the code Gritty over there. Save a little bit, but get yourself the glassing pad too, or the raffle cover if you don't have that. Mm-hmm. And then what we have going on right now is the Some Men Can, Some Men Can't giveaway with Peaks.
Until April 9th at midnight.
So one more week.
Man, that's not very long.
One more week. It's coming quick.
It only was 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we can't thank you enough. I mean, the number of t-shirts we sold is so awesome. We just thank you. Like, everyone went out and supports us there. And if you buy the t-shirt right now, you will be entered to win the big prize package we have going on.
Yeah.
And it's just been great.
$4,000 prize package. And then same with Initial Ascent. We've got a prize package going on there.
That's true. So if you are in the market for a new backpack or you're just curious about why I like the Initial Ascent pack, you can go check out the podcast we did recently with Joe and Dennis, who are the owners of Initial Ascent. You can check that out. See what you think. Hit us up if you got questions. Oh. But I love the pack, especially the new 8K. It's pretty well. It's kind of perfect for what we're doing, and they've been working on it a while. Love the frame and the suspension. So if you're in the market, check it out. And right now, if you do buy one, every $25 you spend gets you entered to win a big package, which again, that closes on April 9th at midnight. So you can get in on that if you're interested. Yeah, you don't have to buy a pack either.
$25 gives you one entry, but you have to use the code GREEDY or you won't be entered.
Yeah.
So you'll save when you use it, but
good thing we have Brad around.
He's a secretary. So
yeah. So that's cool. So we're looking forward to doing that giveaway, and I love the pack. Yeah. So that's it. Tune in on Sunday for the next film for our bear hunts, and thank you for sticking with us all this time. Appreciate you. Stay gritty.